Do you think racism is an issue in America?
Yes, I think it depends on what situation though.
I think it is. It's to say that it's dwindled is to say that carbon emissions don't hurt the atmosphere that much more than they did 10 years ago. The only problem is that we tend to overlook it unless it's something big like the Trayvon Martin shooting or the Boston bombings, which I guess to a degree are somewhat racism because the guys there are sort of going off that whole Muslim stereotypes there, that they're all trigger happy. It's still there. I personally don't have as much experience with it, and thank God I don't, because I've heard stories and it's never nice. But like I said, I think it's gone from a big national thing to more of an introspective deal, whereas the individual is more likely to be racist than as a community as a whole.
Do you think that in our society there's an acceptable level of racism and an unacceptable level of racism?
I guess that for some people it's okay within the group to joke about their race, whereas if other people from a different nationality would, if they were making a joke about that group, they would find that offending.
Yeah, there is. I think if we had to talk about racism in society, it would definitely be more in the workplace, where I think that you'll see more Caucasians or sort of Caucasian colored people. They don't even have to be from the States or from Europe, but of European descent in positions of power, and less ethnic people in those same powers. I think that's one of the more acceptable ways of seeing racism. Although it's frowned upon, it's sort of silent, so no one really knows about it. But if we were to talk about an unacceptable level, it's going around committing hate crimes around particular neighborhoods. That's sort of the unacceptable level, as well as openly discriminating against someone.
Do you think that it is possible for people to not be racist?
No, I do not think that, because people judge no matter who you are.
I'd like to say, part of me wants to say yes, but that's such a naive thought, because we come in, every culture, it doesn't matter where you're from, comes in with a preconceived notion of someone from a particular origin. Europeans think of Americans as pig-headed, trigger-happy idiots going around policing the world, and vice versa. Well, with the Europeans. And so, no, I don't think it's possible for people to be not racist, partly because it's a bias in our world, and I guess it is diminishing more as the world becomes more connected, but actually I think it's being bumped up more because we see the negative sides of each particular culture or nation on the news. It's what the news is made out of. You'll always see some guy shooting another regardless.
Do you consider yourself to be racist? Why or why not?
I do not consider myself being racist, but I do have strong opinions about some people.
Do I consider myself to be racist? An honest answer, I don't. But I say I don't with an asterisk mark. Partly because, as I said, I live in a culture, or in a world now, that comes in with a bias of some other cultures. I'm accepting. I can be as accepting as I can, and partly somewhat understanding to what the plight of those cultures are, but I can never really fully understand what they've gone through or what their troubles are. So every once in a while I'll catch myself thinking some bigoted thought, and I stop myself. Partly because we've come across through so much in history, and although I have said I don't have as much experiences with racism, whatever experience I do have has been hurtful enough to stop me from committing them. It's just thoughts, it's never actions, and saying, no, just because you're Asian, you can't hang out with us. In my group of friends, we're all sort of diverse ethnically. We're not all one single race, but I do consider myself somewhat intolerant, just not full on racist.
What race and or nationality do you identify with?
Danish.
I identify primarily as a Mexican. Not so much Latino, Hispanic, because I don't like to bump myself into that, but more of a, I came from Mexico. I wear that flag proudly. That's what I identify mostly with.